The Exorcism of Anneliese Michel, a terrifying tale of demonic possession, desperation, and the battle between good and evil. It was a cold and moonless night on September 24, 1975, in the small town of Klingenberg, Germany. The tiny village lay silent beneath the cloak of darkness, its cobbled streets empty, and its houses huddled together like scared children. The only sound that pierced the eerie silence was the occasional hoot of an owl, echoing through the dense, foreboding forest that surrounded the town. But beneath this tranquil facade, a sinister event was unfolding that would send shivers down the spine of anyone who heard the tale. Anneliese Michel, a young woman of just 23, was at the center of it all. Her pale face, gaunt from months of suffering, was a haunting sight. Her once luminous blue eyes now glowed with a sinister, unnatural light. Her family, devoutly religious, had been grappling with a nightmare that defied explanation for years. Anneliese, once a vibrant and cheerful girl, had become a vessel of torment, her body and soul seemingly possessed by dark forces beyond their comprehension. The whispers of her possession had begun when she was just 16, in the summer of 1968. Anneliese, the youngest of 4 siblings, had always been a devout Catholic. But as the summer days grew longer, her family noticed a disturbing change in her behavior. She grew increasingly withdrawn, her laughter giving way to fits of rage and despair. She spoke in languages she had never learned, and her body contorted in ways that seemed inhuman. In desperation, her parents, Joseph and Anna, sought the help of medical professionals. Anneliese was subjected to countless tests and examinations, but no physical ailment could explain her suffering. The doctors were left baffled, and some whispered that she might be suffering from a severe mental disorder. But her family knew deep down that this was no ordinary affliction. They believed she was possessed by demons. Anneliese's condition only worsened over the years. She began to reject religious symbols and objects, claiming they caused her intense pain. Her voice became growling and guttural, spewing blasphemies and obscenities that horrified her devout family. The once beautiful girl was now a grotesque mockery of herself, and her parents were determined to save her soul. In the fall of 1973, Joseph and Anna Michel decided to turn to the church for help. They sought out the local parish priest, Father Ernst Alt, who had known the family for years. After witnessing Anneliese's terrifying episodes firsthand, Father Alt was convinced that she was indeed possessed. He contacted the Bishop of W. Arsberg, Joseph Stangl, seeking permission to perform an exorcism. The bishop was initially skeptical, as the Vatican had revised its guidelines on exorcisms in 1614, requiring exhaustive medical and psychological assessments before any such ritual could be performed. However, after reviewing Anneliese's medical records and consulting with a panel of experts, the bishop reluctantly granted permission for an exorcism to be carried out under the strictest of conditions. The stage was set for a chilling and harrowing confrontation between the forces of good and evil. Anneliese's exorcisms would be conducted in secret in her family's home, nestled deep within the haunted woods of Klingenberg. The exorcism rituals would be performed by Father Arnold Renz and Father Ernst Alt, both experienced priests who had been appointed by the church. The first exorcism took place on September 24, 1975. The room where the ritual unfolded was dimly lit, and the air was thick with dread. Anneliese lay strapped to her bed, her frail body contorted in pain. The priests, began to recite ancient prayers and wielded crosses and holy relics, hoping to expel the malevolent spirits that had taken hold of her. As the hours stretched on, Anneliese's tormented screams filled the room. Her voice would shift from guttural growls to spine-chilling shrieks. It was as if a legion of demons were waging war within her fragile frame. The witnesses, including her parents and a few trusted friends, watched in horrified silence as the young woman writhed in agony. Days turned into weeks, and still the exorcisms continued. Anneliese's body wasted away, her once beautiful features now a grotesque mask of suffering. Her family was torn between the hope that the exorcism would free her and the fear that it was driving her closer to death's door. They could see the toll it was taking on the priests as well, who were slowly losing their resolve in the face of such unrelenting evil. One night, as the clock struck midnight, the room grew unnaturally cold. Anneliese's voice, which had been eerily silent for hours, suddenly erupted with a deafening roar. The priest's chants grew more desperate as they tried to banish the demons that clung to her. But it was in that moment that Anneliese's body convulsed with such force that the bed itself shook. The room seemed to darken, and a guttural voice emanated from her lips. "I am not leaving," it hissed. "She is mine." The chilling proclamation sent shivers down the spines of all present. Anneliese's body continued to thrash violently, and the room was filled with an otherworldly stench that made even the bravest souls retch. It was a battle of wills between the forces of good and the unrelenting evil that had taken root in her soul. Weeks turned into months, and the exorcisms continued unabated. Anneliese's once vibrant spirit was fading, her body a mere shell of its former self. But still, the priests and her family clung to hope, believing that they were on the brink of victory. Then, on July 1st, 1976, tragedy struck. Anneliese's frail body could no longer withstand the brutal toll of the exorcisms. She died in her sleep, her face etched in an expression of torment that would haunt her family for the rest of their days. The official cause of death was malnutrition and dehydration, as the exorcisms had left her unable to eat or drink. Anneliese Michel's death sent shockwaves through the town of Klingenberg and beyond. The church found itself at the center of a media frenzy, as questions were raised about the ethics of the exorcism and the responsibility of those involved. The priests, Father Renz and Father Alt, were put on trial, along with Anneliese's parents, Joseph and Anna Michel, for negligent homicide. The trial was a sensation, drawing international attention. The court heard chilling audio recordings of Anneliese's exorcisms, in which her tormented cries and the eerie voices that emanated from her shook even the most hardened jurors. The defense argued that the family and priests had genuinely believed that Anneliese was possessed and had acted out of desperation to save her soul. In the end, the court handed down a verdict that stunned the world. Father Renz and Father Alt were found guilty of manslaughter, sentenced to 6 months in jail, and had their priesthood privileges suspended. The Michels were also found guilty, but their sentences were suspended, and they were ordered to pay a fine. The wisdom of this story lies in its haunting reminder of the thin line between faith and fanaticism, and the devastating consequences of unchecked belief. Anneliese Michel's tragic tale serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting the dangers of fervent religious fervor when it goes unchecked and unquestioned. In a simpler way, the story teaches us that while faith can be a powerful force for good, blind, and extreme belief can lead to tragic outcomes. It emphasizes the importance of seeking a balance between spirituality and rationality, ensuring that we approach matters of faith and belief with a healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking. Thank you for joining us for this spine-tingling story. We hope you found it both thrilling and thought-provoking. If you enjoyed this video, please consider participating in our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing it with your friends. Your support goes a long way in helping us create more engaging content for you. Goodbye, and may you always tread carefully in the world of the unknown.